Hello guys, and welcome to episode 6 of our Teamspeak tutorial series. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to set up two versions of guests. So one of them is going to be the default group, the guest itself, which is going to be the one that basically everyone gets when they join. And to make sure that you can see that, first thing we want to do is that we want to assign it an icon. I'll use this one for the purpose of this video. So here we have our unverified guest, and here we have our verified guest. So we're going to do the same for him. We're going to assign him a verified guest icon. Now, what permissions should guests have? Well, again, it always depends on what type of server you're hosting. I know I've said this in the past videos, and I'll be saying it again. It always depends on what kind of server you're hosting. It's always going to vary. However, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to assume that your TeamSpeak is going to have, let's say, somewhere about a 50 to 100 user capacity, and it's going to be used for like a Arma-free task force or World of Tanks clan with a rank structure, which we are hopefully going to add in future videos. So that is going to be the format. Now, what permissions should the unverified guest have? So if we look right now, they have quite some permissions. We definitely don't want them to have this. So first of all, we don't want guests to be creating any channels. Our TeamSpeak is going to be set up, and we don't want them to be creating any channels, not even temporary channels. So we're going to remove this completely. And actually, when I'm thinking about it, I'm going to remove everything that I see here, and we're going to build it from scratch. So just for the purpose that you guys can see how to do it. First of all, what we want to do, you don't want to give them any of the higher permissions, but there is one thing that you want to do. So it is with the privilege keys, of course. Use privilege key to gain permissions. This permission is going to give the unverified guest the ability to use privilege keys to gain permissions. So let's say that there is a scenario when you are the server owner and you are going to be going on a vacation, and you need to give the permissions to someone else, but he is right now on a vacation, or he just couldn't log into TeamSpeak right now. However, you need him to be able to gain permissions when he joins. At that point, you're going to generate a privilege key. You're basically going to create it. Let's say TeamSpeak admin, you're going to create it and copy this generated privilege key, and you'll basically give it to him. Now, when he joins, he is going to have the guest, the unverified guest server group. He needs to have the use privilege keys to gain permission ticked in order to be able to use the privilege key. Otherwise, the privilege key is completely useless for him. So that's one of the permissions that you want them to have. Now, next up, we're gonna go right into channel, and we're gonna hop right into access. You want them to be able to join permanent, semi-permanent, and temporary channels, even though you're probably not gonna have temporary channels. However, why not tick it? Because I mean, it's not doing any harm. And what you want to do next is that you want to set up. If you remember from the previous video, I talked about levels. As you can remember, TeamSpeak mods and TeamSpeak admins are level 1, level 2, and level 3 by 5 units. We are going to set the unverified guest at the very lowest level that we can possibly set, which is going to be 5. The lowest number that you can give is 1, but we're going to set it to 5, because if you're going to be hosting a server this big and not some kind of a full-out community server, you can keep this, you don't need to have that much space in between those. So we're going to make channel join power 5, channel subscribe power 5, and channel description view power 5. Sorry for this one. Now, That is going to be it for channel access. Now we're going to hop into group, and we're going to go right into modify. So needed group modify power is going to stay at 75. Again, that's simply because we are the only one who's going to be able to modify the server group. And what we want to do next is that we want to go with needed group member add power and needed group member remove power and set it to 80, just to make sure that no one can assign this group. It is simply a second line of defense to make sure that no one is assigning this group. This group is only assigned by Teamspeak when someone joins, and this group disappears whenever it's given a different server group. Now, we already have the sort ID, as you remember from our previous videos, is 101. The verified guess is 100. So that is set. And the next thing we want to do is we want to head into client and we want to go into admin. Now, we want to make sure that the guests are not kicked from the server by people that they are not supposed to be kicked. However, still make sure that some people can kick them. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use 20 for both and 10 for move power. So needed client kick from server power is going to be 20. Same for channel, and needed client move power is going to be 10. Remember, moving is something that it should be a lower permission. Moving clients around the TeamSpeak is not so much of a permission, if you get what I'm saying right now. So, next up, we're going to do client and basics, and that is going to be the last thing that we're going to do to our unverified guest. So, what we want to do first is that we want to give them some private text message power. So let's say we're going to do 20, because why not? Actually, you know what, we're going to do 5, just for better understanding. And next up we're going to do is that we're going to make them eligible to send text messages to the channel so that they can actually type in the channels, because you want your people to be able to do that. And we're going to set the talk power to 5. And the very last thing we're going to do is that we're going to search for max channel subscriptions and set that to -1. If you remember, that is so that they can subscribe to all the channels if they have the required subscribe power. And as you remember, his subscribe power is set to 5. So now this is the outcome that you should get from your unverified guest. So that is going to be it for this video. In the next video, we're going to focus on our verified guest. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe so that you don't miss any new videos. If you want to support me, you can check out my Patreon. The link is in the description. And as always, have a good day.